advocate. I thank God for the Women's History and Health Awareness. I thank God for being here. I have to give God the praises and the honor. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, "Come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy to find grace to help in a time of need." What other time of need is now to help someone? That is why I do what I do. That is why I come boldly to the throne of grace to tell my story. Beautiful story. It's a dark story. It's a secret that I carried around for 21 years. I kept a dirty, dark secret. Davis, and welcome back to the Deb Davis Show. We have our guest on the show today, and the name of her book is Life Struggles Before and After. Hi, I'm Deborah Davis, and welcome back to the Deb Davis Show. We have Iris Rodriguez in the studio with us. Hello.
Hi.
How are you? First, for coming on to share your story with us, and you're an author. The name of your book is Life Struggles Before and After, correct?
That's correct.
Well, we want to talk about your life and your struggles as a victim of sexual abuse. This is April, and April is Sexual Abuse Awareness Month, and we want to educate our children and as well as the parents and give them the necessary tools that they will need to escape from any type of dangerous situations, or even if it's just a lack of low self-esteem. Whatever. I want to thank you for coming on the show to come boldly and courageously to tell your story about what happened to you as a little girl. So let's talk a little bit about your story. If you can just give me a little bit about what happened to you as a little girl.
This happened back in my country. I'm from Puerto Rico, and I was about 3 years old when this supposedly step grandfather was taking care of us at the time, because my mom couldn't afford a babysitter, so he would babysit for us. And I was just laying down on my bed. I remember it was nighttime, and I just saw the door opening, and I see this man coming to me, and he was saying, "Are you okay? Do you want me to tuck you in?" and all that stuff. And all of a sudden, the next thing I knew, he was fondling me, in every way possible. And all he kept saying was, "It's okay. Grandfathers do this to their granddaughters." So for a while, for years, I took the abuse because I thought it was okay,
Yeah, that's because you were only 3 years old. So this is a form of brainwashing immediately when they tell you that it's okay. So you start believing that. And I did have the opportunity to read some of your book. And in your book, I understand that not only did your great-grandfather sexually abuse you, but your mother as well. You had 3 sisters?
Yes.
Talk about that. Let's talk about you. And how this affected your life before we talk about your mother and your sisters.
Well, as being the eldest out of the 3, it affected me tremendously. As a child, I always felt like I was, dirty. I was no good for nothing. I was always told that by my mom and by this man all the time. I felt like I wasn't good enough for anybody. It hurt me so much that I became so angry at myself, and I punished myself in so many ways, always looking for the right man, and still was abused by men as well.
Well, Mother, do you believe that your mother had knowledge of what was happening to you as a little girl? Because if you're 3 years old and you're a little girl, your mother is doing your laundry. Your mother is taking care of your personal hygiene. Your mother should know if you're being touched by a man. Do you believe that your mother knew something?
I believe now that she knew, but for some reason she didn't say anything, because this man also, I just found out like decades later that this man also abused my mom before I was even born. A pattern, Up to this day, I don't know if my 2 sisters were sexually abused because they never spoke about it. This was an issue that it was never touched. And as I came closer to the Lord,
Mhm.
that's how I knew, that it was
Yes.
wrong.
So do you hold your mother responsible at all for any of the actions that have happened to you as a little girl because of the fact that this happened to your mother, and why would she let the same man around her little girls that she knew was abusing her? Do you feel that she was protecting him and that she was just letting these things happen to you?
I did felt that way for a long time. I felt like it was her problem. It was she was to blame for everything that we went through in our lives. I did for a long time. I blame my mom. I hated her.
Mm-hmm.
There was times that I didn't even want to know about her because she exposed us to the same thing she
Let's
went
talk about that, because I want to talk about the blaming and the forgiveness, the shame, the guilt. So we're going to go to a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk some more with Iris Rodriguez, an author of Life Struggles Before and After. We'll be right back. I'm Deborah Davis, and welcome back to the Deb Davis Show. We're here with Iris Rodriguez, author of Life Struggles Before and After. And we were discussing her book, Life Struggles Before and After. We were talking about you blaming your mother and not forgiving her because you were only 3, so she should have been there to protect you. And, I find that with my situation and with my story, that I blamed everyone too. I blamed my father for molesting me, but I didn't blame my mother because I was older and I was 15. And that is why I dedicated my book to baby Brianna Lopez, who was only 6 months old, who was raped, beaten, and killed by her father. She couldn't run away from her situation. She couldn't cry out for help. And to the extent of her injury, I just believe that she stopped crying and she died. So therefore, that's why I do these shows, because I want to be a voice for baby Brianna and the other babies that couldn't cry out, that couldn't make it. But thank God we're here. So we can stop the blame game, and we can stop blaming others for what happened to us, and we can begin the healing process. And that is what I want to talk about, because your book says life struggles before and after. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the guilt and shame that you carry and how you got through that.
I felt for many, many, many years, I felt so much guilt. I was always a bitter woman, a bitter child. I don't even recall having toys for Christmas or my mother ever going to a school presentation for me for my grades. I don't remember coming home saying, "Oh, I love you. You did well in school. You got a good grade." I remember that. And we practically took care of ourselves. Started taking care of ourselves since the age of 10. We had to cook for ourselves because my mom was a person that was only into herself and the men that were in her life as well. And for her to treat us that way, I kept thinking, well, why is she doing that to us? Are we being punished for some reason? And for decades, it took me like close to the age of 44 when I began to think. I said, something is wrong with me. I need help. I need God in my life. That's what I need. I need God in my life. Maybe He'll guide me in the right, in the right path. And that's when I started going to church, and I came to the Lord. And
Amen. Because of the guilt, as a victim of sexual abuse, we feel that it is our fault. It's nothing that you did wrong. It's nothing that I did wrong. We are the victims. And sometimes we victimize ourselves with shame and guilt, low self-esteem. We become promiscuous, drug addicts. We go to jail. We think that we're not worthy. And that is what happens with a lot of people that have been abused. We start heading down a dangerous path in life. But I just want to talk to you about some of the symptoms that we can make our parents and children aware of if you believe that someone is in a dangerous situation. And I think some of the symptoms that I know of are bedwetting, not wanting to leave and go home. I have had that situation happen. But we don't want to just narrow it down to one symptom and say, oh, because she's afraid to go home, she's being sexually abused. But there's several several different reasons and symptoms in a child. And yes, because if you know of any symptoms relating to child abuse, something that you can tell the listening audience, something that can equip them with a tool that is necessary to help them escape the dangerous situation that you were in, when you think back over what you went through, what you could have done differently.
Well, one of my symptoms was I used to isolate myself a lot. I didn't want to, I was antisocial. I didn't want to make friends in school. I felt rejected. You don't trust anyone. Your school grades, like you don't care for school, to do, your homework. You feel embarrassed in front of people. It's a lot of signs out there, and I just want to impose out there to children that are, or parents that are watching the show today, that it's very important to have that communication with your children, especially with your daughter or son, because there is light after the tunnel. There is a way with God.
And I'm grateful that you came forward with your story. Well, Iris, I really want to thank you for coming to share your story. We really don't have much time. I want to do a part 2 with you. But for now, just tell the listeners where they can purchase your book.
Okay, the title of the book is Life Struggles Before and After. And my book is available in Barnes & Nobles, Amazon.com, Jesus Bookstore. It's also, I have a fan page on Facebook and Twitter as well. And I'm available for speaking engagements as well. So if you look on Facebook, you will see all the information that you need, and we're about to go about to buy the book.
Thank you for coming on the DEB Davis Show, Ms. Rodriguez. I want to thank the audience for tuning in. We're going to come back. We're going to do a part 2 with Ms. Rodriguez. It's just not enough time. But I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Deborah Davis. This is the DEB Davis.